Join us for a full review of the Alfa Giulia Veloce. Let's go! A model year change or an update of a vehicle you also call facelift, even though when the face is not being changed. And they intentionally did not want to change the face because they said the customers were pretty happy with the face. Well, I'm happy that we have Misano Blue as the exterior color for today, which is clearly a typical Thomas Blue here on Autogefühl. Then, well, one thing they should have brought to this vehicle are LED headlamps. That's missing. However, they're not starting with halogen anymore. All Giulias now get the xenon headlamps as standard, at least, and then optional, the bi-xenon, which we also have here right today. The length is 4.64 m, 183 inches or 15 foot 2, and wheel sizes go from 16 to 19 inch, and 19 inch is also here what we have today, really massive, and also with those contrasting brake calipers. The Veloce badge right here already has a sportier look. You've already seen it in the front, black frames around the windows. So the Veloce version is not the Quadrifoglio, which has this 2.9 liter V6 engine, but this one here already with more horsepower soon to those engines, and of course the sportier look here in the Veloce trim. Well, the Alfa Giulia is not an all-new car, but I think they really managed to keep up a timeless design. Also here with those quite elegant tail lamps. Q4, the logo then for the all-wheel drive, but this model here is also now available with rear-wheel drive only. Soon more deals to that. In the lower part we have a more aggressive diffuser in the Veloce, and those outer tips here are just for beauty. The real exhaust tips are on the inside, but they look somewhat the same, they're just a little bit smaller. So what do we have under the hood? First of all, in general for the Alfa Giulia, there's a 2.2 liter diesel available with 190 horsepower, optional all-wheel drive, or 210 horsepower, always all-wheel drive. And then this one here, the 2 liter 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, either with 200 horsepower and rear-wheel drive, or with 280 horsepower. Now also available with rear-wheel drive and optional with all-wheel drive. The one we have here today, all-wheel drive, 280 horsepower. And then in the Quadrifoglio you get the 2.9 liter V6 with 510 horsepower. But this one here already, the 280 horsepower engine, 5.2 seconds is the acceleration figure. That's already quite decent. The smaller petrol engine would have 6.6 seconds as the acceleration figure, so that would already be enough actually. Car key, it's pretty thick actually, makes a good quality impression. However, it might be also pretty thick then in the pocket, that would be the disadvantage. Keyless entry here when pressing the knob to close the vehicle or put your hand on the inside to open it. Door closing sound. Yeah, quite solid. Then soft materials at the inside of the doors in the front and a fancy door handle right there. Also some, spiced up door buttons, but that's nothing new here for the facelift. We also have the optional sound system in here, which is quite decent from the sound. Then a new steering wheel, that's one of the major changes. So the whole steering wheel is new, and also the steering feel. So we'll later talk more about that in the driving part. Upgraded assistance systems, for example here for the cruise control, the levers, and here also for the active lane keeping assist, so now more towards level 2 autonomous driving and keeping up with the competition. That's nice. You see here the shifting pedals, they are separated from the steering wheel and pretty large. Then we have those round turbine-style vents, also soft touch of the dashboard. Seating, there are sport seats that coming with the Veloce versions, both Veloce and Veloce TI. The Veloce TI, by the way, would standardly come with Alcantara on the middle part, at least in European markets. The choices really depend on the market. For example, in US configurator, I could only find animal skin, like we see here at the moment. Especially in European markets, Germany, for example, you get a fabric seat, full fabric. You get a fabric leatherette mix, which would be also cool. So fabric inside, leatherette outside. And then also, as I said here, with the Alcantara. So you have to check out which options are available on your market, or maybe just ask your Alfa dealer for that. Of course, we recommend a fabric seating choice or the Alcantara that is a little bit warm in winter. Now it's really cold already here. And of course also a little bit cooler in summer when you don't have the slick seating choices. And also comfort-wise, by the way, so those, no matter if it's now like animal skin or the leatherette, when you have the slick surfaces, they're also a little bit stiffer as for the very surface. When you have a fabric or Alcantara surface, it adapts a little bit more to your body and, to your bones, in your lower body and so on. So it's also more comfortable. But in general, it's actually quite nice seating position. Again, maybe on those animal skin seats, not maybe on the long run when you have like 4 or 5 hours or so. But so far, first impression is actually quite good. Also very soft here from the head restraint. That's cool. Headroom-wise, 1.86 or 6'1". That still leaves enough headroom right there. No problem. Now to the interior overview. We see here a very sensual form and soft touch materials again. That is very nicely done. Here also in the lower part, so good build quality as we see here. Then the screen is actually quite well integrated in this dashboard, so more details to that. What's new is either you get a new 7-inch screen, so it's a little bit smaller than the screen part of the whole panel, or this new 8.8-inch, and this here is also touchscreen now. So that's big news, so to say. So far, only with the controller in the lower part. Now you have the choice with the bigger one. So either touch or then using this lower control knob. And again, soon more details to the infotainment system. Then the steering wheel view right there. Again, completely new steering wheel. Looks more modern, also feels a little bit better. Right side volume control, for example, or picking up the phone. And on the left side then from the cruise control, told you that already earlier. Those instruments, again, fancy because they have this sporty style. Left side, typical analog meter. Right side for the speed. And what's also cool is when we do a startup of the vehicle, then the arrows go all the way to the right end and then back to the left again. And in the middle part, you have a digital screen. For example, you can get some information on fuel economy right there. Yeah, wait a minute. So we have to start the car for that. Here we go. So, and then we can, and interesting is, I'll give you a more decent fuel economy figure when running straight later. But here at the moment, when we're going uphill, we're already about 15 liters. And the funny thing is, it doesn't go any more above that. So obviously, yeah, when there's more like 15 liters of fuel consumption per 100 kilometers, we just say it stays at 15. So we don't show like 16, 17. No. Just 15 maximum. Nice idea, right? Yeah. So, infotainment system. First of all, the sound of this Harman Kardon system, and yeah, it's actually quite decent. So, like that. So, I would, as a music lover, probably also go for this option. Then you have this new main menu. So, different, app views, so to say. You can also go to a climate menu, but since everything is manual in the lower area, I'm not sure why we would need that exactly. Then I can go back to the home menu and look at the car internal GPS. And it looks a little bit dated, but the good thing is that it's quite responsive. So that's actually quite okay. Well, guys, I always have been a fan of Alfa Romeo design on the exterior, but there's a catch. Yeah. The space on the interior. First of all, look at that. And we do have soft touch material also on the rear doors. That's cool. Good quality as for that. Not sure what kind of beverages you should put in here. Maybe like, small glasses with, smoothie for babies. I don't know. That's the only thing it's probably suitable for. And then The design again is quite nice, but you already see that the whole area here, right, is pretty thick, so there's hardly much space to get in, and also the legroom as the seat, as I have put it at the moment, when I'm driving as a rather tall driver. Yeah, and then let's try to get inside. Shoe tab, of course, for the snow. And yeah, I mean, somehow it does fit, but yeah, I'm already hitting the back here with my knees, and headroom-wise also maybe directly fits, but yeah. So legroom is pretty much cramped, and that's also, if you compare it to other competitors in the segment, rather bad, definitely. You can get along somewhat, but not that well. So that's not the strength of this car. Now to the trunk, right there. And of course you're limited as for this sedan building style, right there, but it goes actually quite long in there, and that you have a better impression. I can also put a backpack inside. So height wise this does still fit, yes. Welcome. So that was acceleration to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour, and starting in a slight curve with this all-wheel drive, a little slippery from the road surface. So we had, some sliding out in this D mode, this dynamic mode, and although it is all-wheel drive, we had a slight rear drift, and that shows you that it does have a rear wheel bias. Pretty cool, right? And also thanks to the all-wheel drive, you could get all the grip to the ground. That was of course pretty cool. So yeah, the all-wheel drive does have advantages, definitely. Of course, when you're living in the, those alpine regions here, then it might make sense. Other than that, it also comes with disadvantages, yes. If you think about, for example, a turning circle. So when you have this version, which is now available, also in the 280 horsepower version with rear wheel drive, you can turn the front wheels a little bit more in, to both directions, therefore reduce turning circle, and the car maybe feels a little bit more agile. Then again, the question is if you need the all-wheel drive for winterly conditions and so on, that might make sense. And acceleration here 5.2 seconds when you're going just straight to 1 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And there's no figure for the rear wheel drive model yet. We have to check that out later. Of course, this car can also bring serious traction to the ground just by the rear wheels. It's also planned as a rear wheel drive car from beginning on. But then again, as soon as it gets slippery, like now, was a little bit of dirt on the road and so on, then the all-wheel drive really has a big advantage. Whew. Wow, that was a pretty cool thing. By the way, when we are in this dynamic, this sporty mode, then we can, when we have still want to have some comfort, we can click on this suspension button here in the middle console, and then we have the soft dampening. So you stay in this sporty mode where the gears are turned up higher. Yet again, you have a softer dampening, like in the normal modes. This, this can indeed make sense. Why not? So I think I really, really fancy that. And when you're driving, in city traffic and so on, then you usually would go to the normal, the N mode, or then to the A mode. I think it was called advanced efficiency or something. So that does the exact opposite as the sport mode. So it reduces the throttle input. Gears are turned up a little bit lower, earlier upshifting and so on, and in the D mode, then the sports mode, later shifting up and so on. So depending on what you want to have and how you want to have more or less fun, or about the fuel economy, of course. Yeah, talking about fuel economy, the lowest fuel economy I could score here was about 10 liters or more kilometers. Like 23 mpg US, 28 mpg UK, and that was really rather, trying. And
Yeah. So you rather should expect even worse fuel economy, and that's probably also one of the things here about this vehicle that won't work that well, to score good fuel economy. Well, and since we come to a stop here, we can go back to this D mode and just, accelerate out this traffic light. Of course, sound-wise, yeah, 4-cylinder, not too much coming there. So, yeah, it's okay, but it's nothing that would be really emotional. But this car has some serious power, definitely. And especially when you're on this D mode, the throttle input is that crisp that you just slide on the throttle and it jumps forward. You can always use the shifting pedals as well. They are fixed to the steering wheel, so they do not move alongside. Some say that's better. Others say that's worse. Me personally, I prefer to have them on the steering wheel because when you're sometimes turning them, turning the steering wheel, then you hit the pedals. You have to get used to that. You really stay close with your hands and then only reach out when you really need it. And they give you good feedback. Nice clicking sound as well. So that's also a lot of fun, definitely. Yeah, click, click. We can also use them a little bit better, and we can show you some agility. And this car really behaves very well, very neutrally balanced, like that. And it is a little bit more loose, so to say, than some of the competitors. A little bit more aggressive. Not that stable as for the grip. Of course, the road here is somewhat wet, yes, but that's also how this car is meant to be. Of course, we have traction from the all-wheel drive in this case here when we accelerate out, but the car is definitely a little bit more challenging to drive than the German premium manufacturers, like the mid-size models of those. But that's probably also a thing why you would go then for the Alfa Romeo in this case.
And now to our conclusion for today with the Alfa Giulia Veloce as a facelift. Well, indeed, the face has not been changed, and I think that's also quite okay because it is such a beautiful vehicle, I think. Please tell me also your opinion. Well, yeah, it could have used some LED lamps, definitely, but the bi-xenon lights, they already give you quite some lighting performance. At least the halogens are completely gone now. Then on the interior, improved build quality at some stages, especially in the middle console. That makes a better impression now, definitely. And it's not a cheap brand. You have to calculate about 37 to a maximum about 60,000 euros for the Giulia, and of course also compare it in US dollars. So that should also be at the top of the game also as for the interior build quality. We've seen some flaws are there, yes, but mostly not in parts which you would use in everyday driving life. So I think that's also quite okay. And as for this respect, also good to have this new steering wheel, both for the visual part and especially also for the steering feeling, because it's more natural now. And before I had some situations when I were going on motorway with the pre-facelift Giulia, and It has good reaction, but then you were driving really fast and just a slight steering response, oh, whoa! But that's definitely better now, so I think this is also one of the most significant changes. Well, as for the engine here with the all-wheel drive model, a lot of power here and also more traction to the ground, of course. Personally, I would go for the best price performance deal. I always advise that one to you. Go with the smallest petrol engine with rear-wheel drive only, have a little bit smaller turning circle, because here with the all-wheel drive, it really has a turning circle like a tractor, so that's definitely a big disadvantage. And also the fuel consumption is way too high with this car. That might also be a little bit better with the lower horsepower trim of the petrol engine. And also if you do not have all-wheel drive, this can also improve the fuel economy there a little bit. And seating choices, at least in European markets, we have quite good choices. So my favorite would actually be Giulia petrol. Here also in Misano blue with rear-wheel drive, and probably those fabric leatherette seat mix on the interior. That would be my configuration tip for today. And then you can get check out how close you can get to this one in your market. And also maybe give me your favorite configuration there in the comment. Or if you're already an existing Alfa Giulia customer, please tell us your feedback. What have you experienced with your car, pro and con? So it's always good to have the real customer feedback here also in the comments. We can learn from that, and of course also new potential buyers as well. So what do you think about the Alfa Giulia facelift here, and especially in the Veloce trim today? I hope to see you also, maybe at the pre-facelift review when you are interested in the diesel we've tested right there, or also at some of the competitors we've tested of the Alfa Giulia, thinking about the Audi A4, BMW 3 Series or Mercedes C-Class. Also tune into those reviews, see you there, and of course at one of our next episodes. Thank you and bye.